Hello everyone, this is Banter Bill, and welcome to Honor of the Waves, Path to Dungeon Guide. This is not a speedrunning guide, but a guide meant for those who are new to the dungeon or those who need a refresher. In terms of class composition, you can really bring any class, although since the last boss is completely underwater, classes with good underwater combat shines, like Mesmers and Rangers. So starting off, I like to pull the first group back to these two polar bears, just to get some tank damage in there, and then just attack them in melee or range. These guys do pack a punch, so if you're getting hit in melee, I recommend backing off. Alright, and once we beat those guys, we're on the fight our first boss already.
There's nothing else here worth taking. Break everything you see. This trash is unworthy of drawbag.
Urge to kill rising.
So you should pull these right group to you and try not to aggro the other mobs. If you do, it's no big deal, just kill them. And then once those mobs are dead, you want to pull the boss to you as well. The goal here is not to aggro any of the other mobs. And then once the boss is pulled to you, you can fight him either at melee or at range. Really the only thing to watch out for is that when spin attack, it'll knock you back, and his 100 blades attack. Otherwise, he's a relatively simple and straightforward boss. Alright, and then once you beat that boss, you want to continue staying on the right hand side. You're going to fight this right hand group right here. Some groups run past this, but they're so easy to kill, you might as well do it. On the next boss, I recommend switching to a range set. And then we're going to run past this first champion and go straight towards the second champion, staying close to the left hand side. I like to fight this boss out in the open. Some groups like to fight him on the stairs, and that is mainly because if you get in melee range, he will fear you back every couple of seconds. So they like to stay on the stairs so they don't get feared back very much. However, I just like fighting in the open. At range, I'm far away, his fears won't really affect me, and those who do in the fight in melee, they can just fear back to us, they won't go off the edge. If you do go off the edge, you won't die, you just need to go around and come back up those stairs. This boss also spawns ads, which you should probably kill through AoEs, you don't really need to focus on them. He also throws up protection, which as a Mesmer I try to strip that boon off as often as possible. So that includes my Greatsword 3 and my Null Field. Alright. And once that champion is dead, I switch back to my melee set. And then we're going to fight some trash mobs right here. You may be able to skip these guys, but I usually just go ahead and fight them. They're not too bad, they just take a bit. And then we're on to the next boss. This next boss coming up probably requires the most amount of coordination, although it's still not a lot. You want to pull his two champions back to the shore, and then kill the main boss after you pull the two champions. However, on the first pull, Honor will usually aggro the boss. So on the first pull, you want to let Honor die, then on the second pull him back to the shore. Now the boss will follow Honor back and have devastating AoEs. And so on the first go around, you want to retreat back into the water. Here, I've already cut ahead to our second go around. We are fighting the Quaggins at the shore. You want to make sure you do not have any knockback attacks because we don't want to knock them back into the range of the boss's aggro. If you have any pets, make sure they stay close to you. I do not use any phantasms that will get far away from me. And then you want to stay on the shore the entire time. Even going up a couple more feet may aggro the main boss. Then on the main boss, you want to switch to a completely ranged set, and you can revive Honor for this boss. He tanks the boss for a little bit, so he's somewhat useful here. This boss is very similar to the Ice Shaman at the end of the Ice Fractal. He drops a bunch of AoEs which you do not want to be caught in. And he has this Ice Breath, which is why you really want to stay at range this entire fight. And so we're just going to kite him around the entire time, staying at range. I'm mainly throwing up my feedback and null field to create a combo field to stack a lot of confusion on him. Alright, and then once you kill the boss, collect his champ chest, and don't forget the event chest which spawned in the way back. You also want to revive Honor for this next part, as he will revive teammates if they go down. This part coming up is probably the hardest part of the dungeon. It involves skipping a lot of hard-hitting mobs. I recommend that you kill the first fish from range up top, and then run under the bridge for the part that we're going to skip through. So we just start attacking this first fish at range.
Time to do some real damage.
Getting hotter.
I summon the power of the storm.
And after we kill the first fish, we're going to jump in and start swimming under the bridge. That both kites the ads and helps you keep track of where you're going, because it is very easy to get lost down here. I try to save all my condition removal skills and my heals for the very end, because that is where you can get hit the hardest. If you do go down, just keep trying to go forward. You want to get as far as possible.
This rose has thorns. Here they are.
I also try to keep some of my dodges for the final part because I am going to need them. So as a Mesmer, I try to group this first two and then dart forward to get through these guys. And you need to break down the ice wall and then head to the back right-hand corner of this next boss room. Do not go through the center or you'll activate the boss. So we head to the back right corner. And actually, Honor is reviving our dead teammates, so we don't even need to go back for him. This boss is the final boss of the dungeon, and what I consider the second most boring boss in Guild Wars 2, only beaten by the jellyfish in the underwater fractal. He is relatively easy. I recommend, if you're new, staying completely at range, and if you're squishy. His main devastating attack will be a spear charge, which if you're caught in the spear charge, you'll probably go down. If you do go down, swim away and find a safe corner to revive. Do not revive in the center of the map. You should let your teammates revive on their own. You will actually revive slower underwater, and your teammates can swim away from the bad guy, unlike if they go down on land where they're just stuck there. So it's relatively safer to let someone revive themselves on their own. A safe spot to revive is the spot where we went in to wait for our teammates to catch up on the part we just skipped. And I'm going to speed up this boss because he is very boring. I mostly stay at range. If I get bored during the fight, I sometimes fight at melee after he does one of his spear charges attacks. So I would wait for the spear charge and then go in at melee. But in this fight, I mostly stay at range and play it safe. You also want to try to fight him in this spot over here. If you start swimming around, you're just going to kite your own teammates. They'll have trouble hitting him from range around those pillars.
Look at this.
And then we beat the boss. Don't forget your champ chest and the event chest at the bottom of the floor. And you are done. Thanks for watching, guys.